I think you will be in awe of the nouns that I'm going to teach you, and I'm sure that you will learn something new. And awe, this is the first word that I want to teach you. That's right, this is a noun, awe. And it's referring to a feeling of great respect, sometimes mixed with fear or surprise. And often you're going to use this word in the phrase in awe of someone or in awe of something. So I could say the children were in awe of their grandfather. Okay, they had that feeling of respect. Or we watched in awe as the lion attacked the buffalo. So again, it's like you have respect for Mother Nature, but it's also mixed with a bit of fear and surprise. When pronouncing this word, it's just that vowel sound, awe, like you would have in the word saw. And when talking about the phrase in awe of, we can link that final consonant sound in, that N sound, with the vowel sound awe, in awe. In awe of someone or in awe of something. And as we go through the lesson, I want to talk to you a little bit about the pronunciation because I tried to choose words that are a bit challenging, like this next one, bureaucracy. So this is talking about complicated rules or processes used by an organization, especially when they do not seem necessary. And this noun, it really does have a negative connotation. And frequently you may use this when talking about larger companies, governments, or institutions. And you may even emphasize it with a phrase like a lot of. There is a lot of government bureaucracy. Or the company is so slow to change because there's too much bureaucracy.
With all the bureaucracy in a hospital, sometimes you have to bend the rules to help a patient.
No, I didn't do it for Leslie. I did it because I hate bureaucracy.
I'm giving you both the IPA and phonetic spelling so you can actually see how the word is pronounced. In bureaucracy, it has 4 syllables, and the stress is on that second syllable. Bureaucracy, bureaucracy. And all of the nouns that I'm going to teach you in this lesson, they are advanced C2 nouns. And C2, this is just Cambridge's highest level and shows that you are a highly proficient speaker of English. And because of that, these are words that you're not going to probably use every day. They are more specific, but they're really going to help you develop your overall fluency. And if you would like to continue building your vocabulary, please subscribe, turn on notifications. That way I can become your teacher. My name is Wes. The channel is Interactive English. It's all about helping you reach your fluency goals. So let's continue with our next word, which is frenzy. This is talking about uncontrolled and excited behavior or emotion that may sometimes be a little violent. So I could say Black Friday is a shopping frenzy. It's busy, it's a bit aggressive. Or you may hear this noun being used in the collocation, feeding frenzy, which refers to a group attacking a prey. But you really could use feeding frenzy when referring to a situation in which people are trying to get as much of something as they possibly can.
Your brother is creating his own media feeding frenzy, and all of it is negative.
Store in the village had one of those crazy sales. It was a footwear feeding frenzy.
You could use this noun in the phrase to whip someone into a frenzy. And what this means is like you're causing someone to feel this way, this uncontrolled emotion.
As the crowd that had gathered to hear Herbert Love speak was whipped into a frenzy.
As far as pronouncing this word, it's pretty simple and straightforward. It just has 2 syllables. The stress is on that first syllable, frenzy. But for the most part, I really wanted to share with you those phrases that you can use this noun with. And right now, I have an announcement that may whip you into a frenzy, because if you'd like to practice and improve your pronunciation, then you should check out ELSA Speak. And I'd like to thank ELSA Speak for sponsoring today's lesson. This is a great pronunciation app that I actually learned about from many of you, because many of you have been using ELSA Speak to fine-tune your pronunciation. And if you're unfamiliar with it, let me show you how it works. You download the app, you create an account, and you can see there's just so much that you can do. Practice daily lessons, improve pronunciation. Let's say that you want to study by topic, and there are many different topics to choose from. So let's go to work and career. And there are a lot of lessons to help you practice and improve. But I think the coolest part is being able to practice words and phrases that you want to learn. So how about we practice that sentence? There is a lot of government bureaucracy. And then you can listen to the pronunciation.
There is a lot of government bureaucracy.
And then practice. There is a lot of government bureaucracy. And let me show you what it would look like if I make a mistake and mispronounce that noun. There is a lot of government bureaucracy. As you can see, you get instant feedback, which allows you to try and make adjustments. And right now, when you click on the link below and download the ELSA Speak app, you can get 7 days of the Pro membership for free. But you can use my discount to get 85% off a lifetime membership or 40% off a 1-year membership. So check out the links and discounts down below in the description if you would like to practice and improve your pronunciation. And before you know it, you're going to sound just like me. Now let's get back to those C2 nouns, and the next one that I have for you is cliché. This is a saying or remark that is often used, and therefore it's not interesting and it's not original. So I could tell you something like, well, look, you know what they say, opposites attract. That phrase, opposites attract, it's pretty common, well known, it's not original, and maybe you tell me, come on, Wes, that's so cliche. And if you were to tell somebody, look, oh, it's so cliche, it kind of has a bit of a negative connotation because basically you're saying that, well, you're just not impressed with what someone's saying to you. It's just not interesting. Or maybe I start out by saying something like, hey, I know it's cliche, but time heals all wounds. All right, so I'm basically admitting that the saying that I'm using, it's cliche. So there are many different sayings in English that you could say are cliche.
I really just want him to be happy. And I know that sounds cliche, and I know saying it sounds cliche sounds cliche. Maybe I'm being cliche, I don't care.
I know that you're just looking at this word and thinking, wait a second, there are no accent marks in English. Well, this is a word that English has borrowed from French, and that's why, again, the spelling and the pronunciation don't really match. Cliché, it has 2 syllables. The stress is on that second syllable, and that CHE with the accent mark sounds like shay, cliché. The next word is paradigm. So this noun is talking about, well, a model of something, or just a very clear and typical example of something. And I thought, well, a good way to give you an example is just to show you some different news headlines so you can see how this word is used in context. A paradigm shift, EU-Russia relations after the war in Ukraine. Are we witnessing the emergence of a new paradigm? And this article goes on to talk about the mental health system. But what I really want to point out are the words that are being used with this noun. These are collocations, talking about a paradigm shift or a new paradigm. When pronouncing this word, it has 3 syllables. The stress is on that first syllable, but it's that third syllable that can be a little tricky because once again, this is when the spelling and pronunciation just do not match. So the third syllable has a silent G, and the vowel sound, it's a long I sound, not a short vowel sound. Paradigm. Paradigm.
But our society has undergone a paradigm shift. In the information age, Sheldon, you and I are the alpha males.
Let's just keep the momentum going with our next word, which is momentum. So this is talking about the force that moves an object or an event developing or making progress. So if we're talking about the force that moves an object, think of, well, physics. As the car goes downhill, it gains momentum. If we're talking about an event developing or making progress, well, then you could think of a competition. The home team lost momentum when their star player got injured. And once again, I want to point out those collocations, those words that are used with this noun, to gain momentum or to lose momentum. The word has 3 syllables. The stress is on that second syllable, momentum. Now, one thing I'll say, and this is really about the American accent. Sometimes when the T follows an N sound, it may elide and it gets removed. And this happens with words like internet or center. So if you're in the United States, you may hear somebody drop that T and it's going to sound like momentum.
So I figured we start out local just to get our momentum going.
Now, again, this is specific to the US, and I'm only telling you this because that's where I'm from, but in general, you can't go wrong pronouncing that T, momentum.
Why are you taking so long between fireworks?
I'm building momentum, man.
Then we have morale, which is a great noun to know. It's talking about the amount of confidence felt by a person or group of people, especially when in a difficult or dangerous situation. And once again, there are a lot of great collocations with this noun. So you could use them with certain adjectives like high morale or low morale or employee morale. Or you could use them with some different verbs as well. To raise morale, to boost morale, to bring up morale. I really hope that these video lessons boost your morale and just make you want to continue learning.
I think I should, don't you?
Absolutely, so. Show force, boost morale.
Trying to keep morale high. Just trying to raise morale.
The pronunciation can be a little tricky. Just know that the stress is on that second syllable, morale. And don't be fooled by that E at the end. It's not a long vowel sound, but a short vowel sound, morale. Then there's withdrawal. And this just means, well, taking money out of the bank. And there is a common verb-noun collocation to make a withdrawal. I need to make a withdrawal. Can I make a withdrawal? And really, I chose this word because of the difficulty with the pronunciation, because I've had many learners tell me that they really have trouble pronouncing this word. It has 3 syllables. The stress is on that second syllable, that draw, but it's that third syllable that I think people have trouble with, that dark L. So you're going to stress that second syllable and move right into that dark L, which has that ul sound. Withdrawal, drawal, withdrawal. Just keep practicing, give it a try, say it a few times, and I think you'll start to feel a little more comfortable saying it. The next noun is deterrent, and this is something that stops people doing something because they're afraid of what may happen. And you may use this noun in the phrase and say that something acts as a deterrent to something else. Like the teacher's strict punishments act as a deterrent to cheating. And there are also some useful adjective noun collocations saying that, well, something is a strong deterrent, or talking about a nuclear deterrent or an effective deterrent. This word has 3 syllables. The stress is on that second syllable, deterrent. Now, one thing I want to quickly point out, and this also has to do with the American accent, and that is the flap T. A flap T is going to sound like a soft D, and Americans, we love the flap T. Often this occurs when the T comes between 2 vowels, like water. Now, the T in deterrent, it also comes between 2 vowels, but we are not going to say this with a flap T, and this is because the T comes at the beginning of a stressed syllable. So when the T comes at the beginning of a stressed syllable, then you're going to say it as a true T and not a flap T. And that is why you would pronounce this and say deterrent. Just thought you should know.
How will the Umbrella Academy ever become an effective crime deterrent?
Because I'm your nuclear deterrent. It's working. We're safe.
Ambiguity. I like this noun. It's talking about something that may have more than one meaning and can therefore cause some confusion. And you may also use this word as an adjective. It's quite common, ambiguous. But we're talking about nouns, so let's use it as a noun. And I could say, there is ambiguity in the new law. In this case, I'm saying that the law, may have different meanings. Or perhaps I tell you, hey, be specific so there's no ambiguity. All right, I want things to be very specific and clear so there's no ambiguity.
All right, time for Fast and the Furious 1 through 7. This is a 14-hour meditation on the importance of family, fast cars, product placement, racial ambiguity, and family.
The word has 5 syllables, and if you want to learn something about syllable stress, when the word ends in ity, the stress is going to be on the third to last syllable, that U. ambiguity. Ambiguity. The next noun is this one right here, diarrhea. And this is an illness in which your waste is not solid but liquid, and I really don't think I need to go into great detail explaining the meaning of this noun. I think there is no ambiguity with what I'm trying to tell you. I think this is a word you have probably heard of before, you probably know it already, but the reason why I'm including it in this lesson is really because of the spelling. And even in the UK there's a different spelling, and I think a lot of native English speakers probably could not spell this word. It is one that you're probably going to use more in spoken English, but I think it's important because it has to do with your health. If you go to see the doctor, this is a word that you may read if you're in the doctor's office, or perhaps you may even need to write it down if you're trying to write some of your symptoms. So it's important to keep in mind the spelling and try to remember how this word is spelled. For pronunciation, the word has 4 syllables. The stress is on that 3rd syllable, diarrhea. But really, I just wanted to highlight the spelling of this word. And then there's whereabouts. This is just talking about the place where someone or something is. And often you would use this talking about someone's whereabouts. The police don't know the criminal's whereabouts. Or perhaps I could say, we're unsure of her exact whereabouts. That is a collocation with this noun. You may hear people use this in a question like, whereabouts in the US are you from? This is a question that I sometimes get, and I tell people, well, I grew up in the South, but there are quite a few different places all over the country where I have lived. And this is also a C2 word. And I use the word also because when you're using it in a question like this, it's not a noun, it's an adverb. But we're talking about nouns, and in this case, you're often going to be talking about someone's whereabouts.
We need his whereabouts.
And her whereabouts are unknown.
The pronunciation, it's pretty straightforward. There are 3 syllables. The stress is on that 1st syllable, whereabouts. Let's try and do a little bit of review. I hope that I was able to avoid any ambiguity when explaining the meaning of these different nouns. And, now that you probably feel good about building your vocabulary, I hope that you can use that positive momentum to go ahead and watch another video lesson, because I try to make these lessons easy to follow and understand, because I think that's what's really going to help boost your morale. And even if you find a word confusing and you don't completely understand it, please don't let that be a deterrent when it comes to building your vocabulary and just trying to learn new words. And you can let me know your whereabouts down in the comments. I was just trying to use some of these nouns, get a little review, and use them in context. All I really hope is that you learn something new. If you enjoyed the lesson, please hit that like button. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. So long.